In this video, we're going to talk about destructuring in ES6. Destructuring is a syntactic sugar to some common things that we do in JavaScript. It's one of those concepts where it's a lot easier for me to show you what it is than explain it. So let me grab an example first to demonstrate the basic of destructuring. So what we have here is an array of 4 elements, each of them corresponding to a letter in the alphabet. So here's another statement. This is the destructuring of an array. So this may look strange to you if you're coming from ES5. This is saying I'm setting this array. So usually you have a variable name, right? But this time I have an array of names to set it equal to the actual list. So let's output this this code and see what it shows us. So if I hit run here, as you can see, it outputs A, B for the first and second. So I'll give you a moment to figure out what it's doing. So have you figured it out? The destructuring, it's basically this statement here. It's actually doing this. List sub 0. So this is sub 0. We're setting the variable first to equals list sub 0. And then second is equal to list sub 1. And then third is equal to list sub 2. So it's basically doing an assignment for this array here. The very first element of the array from list and set it equal to the variable first. That's why I was able to console log first here. So we can also set a default value for this thing. So let me grab another example. This one is very similar to that one we just did, but this time I initialized 3 variables, and then instead I'm setting the first to equals to this value, last to equals to this value, age to equals to that value, and gender, while there's no corresponding value on the right side, I'm setting it a default value of male. So if this is undefined, it'll set gender to male. However, if this is defined, it'll set to whatever it's set. So if I console log this thing, as you can see, it's penta, code, and then 5, and then male. So let me set a value here to female. Now, if I console log this, it says female. So it's taking the value that's set on the right side here instead of the default value. Now, you can also do a spread operator with destructuring. So imagine I have an array of arbitrary values, and I want the A to equal to the first value, B to equal to the second value, and I want to set C to equals to the rest of the value inside the array. So A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, and C, when you do ... C, it's actually setting C to equal to the rest of the array. So if I console log this, as you can see, this is A, this is B, and C is being set to the rest of the array. Now you may ask me, why is this useful? How can I use this in the real world practical example? Well, let's do an example where we had to swap 2 values. So this is a function called swap. So all I'm doing is returning a new 2 values, new array with the value A and B switched. So let's say I have an A equals 10, B equals 5, and then all I'm doing is calling swap on A and B, and then set it to equals to the value of this thing. So this is the initial value. A is equal to basically A here is equal to B here inside swap, and B here is equal to A here. So if we print this out, you'll see that the value has been switched. A is now 5 and B is 10. There's even a simpler way of doing this. Instead of calling a function, we can just do the following. Set A equals 10, B is 20. Now all we have to do is, we're just bypassing that function basically. So B comma A is equal to A comma B. And when you do it this way, you'll see that it's switching the value. 20 equals A and 10 equals B. So this is extremely valuable, so you don't have to declare a third variable if you want to switch two values. Now let's do a real world example of what you can use destructuring on. Let's say you have a function that calls out to that accepts a parameter, right, of some API endpoint and the methods. So you're just setting some default values here, and you're also setting rest for anything else that they pass into this parameter. So all this is doing is it will cancel a lot of the values passing in from the function parameter, and then rest here will get all the rest of the parameters. So here I'm calling the function with the first parameter being this object here, and then the rest could be arbitrarily long in the arguments, and it will actually print it out, all of them, in this variable called rest. So if I cancel all of this, let me zoom it out a little. As you can see, it correctly placed all the variables and values in the correct place. So I hope you find this video useful, and keep practicing using destructuring in places in your code, and eventually you'll get it. It may look strange right now, but you'll find it really, really useful in the future. Thanks for watching, and stick around for more videos on ES6.